What's going on, guys? This is Rob. If you guys enjoy my content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that little bell so you never miss out on my sexy voice. So, writer Sean Murphy is probably gonna go down as one of the greatest Batman writers of all time. And it's stuff like this that makes you wanna see like things beyond this. See, that's why I love, for those of you guys who don't know, DC's playing it really, really smart when it comes to DC Rebirth. Marvel kind of has a stance of like, is it a story somebody can write? Then like give it an ongoing series. That's kind of Marvel's stance. That's one of the reasons why they're publishing like 60 comic books. But DC has had this idea of just doing like miniseries, and that's it. DC's running like 5 or 6 Batman miniseries at the moment, like Sins of the Father, and all these really, really cool stories. When it came to like Nightwing, the New Order, it was just like a different take on the Nightwing character where things had basically gone awry. And that's what I love about this, is because what it does is it gives you this amazing story, at least, you know, the White Knight does, it gives you this amazing story, and then it kind of answers the question, so what if we expanded this out to like the bigger DC universe? So like Shazam and the Justice League and like all these different characters and all these different things. What would it look like? And like, that's the cool thing about this, because like it makes you want to see more. But in the last video, we talked about how Batman had basically like gone crazy, tracked the Joker down, forced a handful of pills down his throat, and ultimately the Joker became sane as a result of those pills. And the result was the Joker, while he was interred by the police, basically came up with this argument that like the cops have systematically helped the Batman become a vigilante, that they're part of a bigger problem. Now, what that problem was something that the comic ended on. It was basically the Joker as Jack Napier back to his normal self, essentially saying, I will bring light to this problem. I will show the city of Gotham what you really are. And so that was the question that I saw in the comments from a lot of different people. If the Joker has had this life of just killing arbitrarily and robbing folks and doing all kinds of crazy things, even if he was on trial, he would just get a life sentence and that's it. But this is the beauty of the judicial system, is that at the end of the day, it's not left to a judge. It's not left to like a cop. It's left to a jury. All the Joker has to do is convince a jury. And the opinions and the wants and desires of the cops and the lawyers and, you know, Batman and the judge, they're all irrelevant. And really, like, Jack Napier does this in the smartest way possible. If you want to win anything, you have to win the people. For the most part, the people are the ones who decide what happens. In a court of law, it's no different. Jack Napier basically sits down and says, this is my city. I came here as an immigrant for the most part. Like, I came here from a small rural farm wanting to make a better life for myself. And when I got here, I realized that life was hard and life was rough. And like anybody who made bad decisions, I turned to a life of crime and I screwed up. Once I was busted and I was sentenced to 10 years, what I began to realize was that crime is a product of the police in Gotham, because what the cops were doing is they were basically using existing criminals and turning them into like supervillains and then using them as a means to keep crime going. And it's the greatest idea of a conspiracy, because if there's any one thing that people love, it's believing that like there's some great, you know, some hidden hand out there controlling everything behind the scenes, even if there's not. But in times of desperation, people will believe what they want to believe, and they'll simply ignore facts if there are any at all. And so the result is that he basically sits down and he says, look at the city of Gotham for what it is. Like, look around you and look at what it is. What you see are the wealthy prospering, you see the poor struggling, and you see Batman fighting the poor. It's kind of Jack Napier twisting up the facts to a degree, but it's also like providing a pretty interesting image. That Batman is not a vigilante trying to keep Gotham safe. That Batman's not there to like protect the people. Batman's there to protect the wealthy from the people. And it's so cool, because it's like, what better way to turn the entire city of Gotham on Batman than to basically say like, he's not here to protect you, he's here to protect the wealthy and the powerful from you. It's the Joker in a lot of ways inciting revolution in the city of Gotham. It's so cool. Now, the other half of this is like how he feeds on words. For example, there's a part of Gotham City called Backport, which is really where like a lot of minorities live, specifically African Americans. But the popular phrase to use is Blackport. And that's why this is cool, because it's turning all these things on the city of Gotham itself. It's criticizing the press, who are complicit in the vigilantism of Batman and in the actions of the Gotham City Police Department. It's the Gotham City Police Department who's complicit in basically the creation of crime in Gotham and the profiteering of crime. It's all these things that go on. It's so cool because he says, look, like anytime anybody ever asked the question, well, where's all this extra funding going to? Like, what are you doing with all this extra money? Well, the police department was using it to create villains. When people started asking too many questions, well, oh no, the Joker's escaped. We have to get the Joker, guys. It's such a cool way to portray the city of Gotham as just crooked and corrupt. And so what we do is we pick up with Jack Napier when he gets back to his house and he's met with Harley Quinn. Right off the bat, it's him trying to relate to Harley Quinn. And we would kind of expect this, but at the same time, we wouldn't. Harley Quinn has always been in love with like the Joker as a person. Like how the Joker manifests himself and how he treats her is just a byproduct of the relationship, but it was always like her obsession with him. She would follow him to the edge of the earth and she would do whatever it is that he wants her to do because she believes that she could like somehow fix him or turn him around or get him to love her. It's the quintessential like good girl in love with a bad boy, all the while never realizing that she's just one of many women that bad guy's been with. But where he starts to talk about things like proposal and marriage and these pills and so on and so forth, she immediately freaks out and starts attacking him. Well, while this is happening, we're suddenly met with the arrival of another Harley Quinn. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? As soon as I saw that, I was like, Sean Murphy, man, you genius. But then as soon as I look at it, I'm like, okay, this looks like the original Harley Quinn. And that's when we find out that it is, that this is actually the original Harley Quinn. And this younger version of Harley Quinn that exists out there at the moment is not the actual Harley Quinn. And this is kind of funny because what we find out is the original basically left the Joker and a new one took her place. The Joker just never really realized it. He never knew what was going on. Now, this of course leads into like the most obvious question. How could the Joker not know that like Harley Quinn took off and replaced herself with somebody else? And it's kind of cool because Harley goes through and tells her story. And this is what I like. See, this is what I love about this so much is it's like Sean Murphy grabbed all these different aspects and all these different themes of Batman's history with regards to different characters and sort of rolled it all together into a version that we're familiar with, but it's changed just enough to just kind of make it like a wholly unique and separate line of events. And much like the main DC universe, when it comes to like Harley and when it comes to this version of her character, is she fell in love with Jack Napier as he was the Joker. But for her, it really wasn't just like, man, let's just be crazy. It wasn't like she just snapped one day. For her, it was an escape. It was the idea that like her life was boring and it was mundane, rinse and repeat. Her life is by definition, as she sees it, completely and totally mundane. But the Joker represented a change from that. The Joker was random. You had no idea what was gonna happen next. And it gave Harley Quinn the belief that she was free from the shackles of society. I mean, sure, they were vigilantes, they were on the lam, but the fact remains that she could do anything she wanted to. There were no limits to what she could do. The world was her oyster, and she wasn't constrained by like societal standards and laws. But as time began to progress, and when Batman first showed up, she began to notice that the Joker's affection, that his obsession switched from Harley Quinn to Batman, and that he basically was in love with the idea of Batman. Every thought that he ever had, it was all about Batman. And Harley Quinn began to fade further and further into the background. And because of that, like it gave her no desire to want to be with him anymore. But all this came to a head when the Joker had kidnapped Jason Todd. Now again, this is almost kind of like Sean Murphy's twist on the death in the family storyline when like the Joker basically killed Jason Todd. Like it's kind of a twist on that idea. But where Harley Quinn's there, she basically kind of runs up and says, look, you're going too far. But notice this is not insane Harley Quinn. This isn't the kind of Harley Quinn that we're used to, where she just snapped one day, the Joker drove her insane. She's very sane. She's completely and totally rational. She's like a regular, normal human being. But the Joker basically went too far this time. You can't just run around and kill people. Not only that, it's predicated on the idea that like the Joker was jealous of Jason Todd because Jason Todd was the right-hand man of Batman. How come I can't be the right-hand man of Batman? How come I can't be that close to Batman? Well, then I'll just kill Jason Todd because I'm so angry that he's in that position. But where the implication was that Joker had killed Jason, although we're not explicitly told that was the case, Batman tries to kill the Joker and Harley Quinn actually stops him and says, you can't kill him. And so Joker basically went back to Arkham Asylum and that was really about it. But this is cool because what she basically says is like, sure, I mean, these pills kind of help you to maintain this sort of, this lucidity, but like Jack Napier recognizes, the Joker's still in there. That's still very much a part of who Jack Napier is. But the stance of Harley Quinn is you can be fixed. Like you can be set back to normal. And so again, that's why I love this so much, is because it's the Harley Quinn concept as we know her without the insanity that we're familiar with. And so ultimately Jack basically sits down with her and says, yeah, I guess we can sort this out. I guess we can get this going. But the funny thing about this is that this almost, switching over to Bruce Wayne when he meets up at a dinner party, it hits at this idea that Batman didn't really know the impact of what it was that he was doing. He was blissfully unaware of like the full totality of his actions. And the reason why I say this is because there's basically a guy here named Pierce who's kind of a dick and basically has been drinking alcohol the whole time, so on and so forth. But where you end up having Jack Napier and Harley Quinn jump on TV and saying like, we're taking this settlement money and we're opening the first library in Backport. And the result is that Pierce basically starts talking to Bruce Wayne about like the nature of things. What he says is that inside of Backport, really inside of Gotham, you have what are called bat impact zones. And what this means is that when Batman shows up in an area and starts fighting crime and of course damage is done, it absolutely tanks the value of the property. Well, what wealthy people are doing is they're going in and then buying up all that property, flipping it, and then selling it at a premium. And so they're basically making money off the work of Batman. And this pisses off Bruce to the extreme, but it's kind of funny because it's like, how could he not know this? How could a man who's like the richest person in Gotham really have no idea that people are doing this? Either it means that Batman's incompetent as a superhero, or Batman's like genuinely just didn't know. But either way, like it is really cool because basically it means that like the Joker was not lying. Batman was an enforcer for the rich and the powerful in Gotham. And so from here, you pick up with Jack Napier and Harley Quinn, basically meeting with a whole bunch of different villains. Now, the cool thing about this meeting between the Joker and these villains is there's a lot of really, really good Easter eggs in here. This is how you know that like Sean Murphy is like a Batman fan, because like there's these little Easter eggs. For example, there's one point where Killer Croc says it was a big rock. Now, this comes from Batman the Animated Series, or anybody who remembers Batman the Animated Series back in the day. And it was an episode called Almost Got Him, which is exactly what Jack Napier says is like, every time we talk, it turns into a game of Almost Got Him. That episode was amazing. It was cool because it's basically, God, if I remember correctly, it's the Joker, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, and Two-Face, I think, maybe even the Penguin, sitting around at a poker game telling the story of how each one of them almost got Batman. And Killer Croc is like, yeah, man, like I lured Batman into a sewer. And they were like, yeah, like, and then what happened? He's like, I threw a rock at him. And like, they all start looking at him kind of funny. And he's like, I mean, it was a big rock, you know, but it is cool because what you have is a Joker basically saying, or really Jack Napier basically saying, look, we should consolidate our efforts in order to basically take the city of Gotham back. We have to work together if we're going to bring down Batman. Now, because of the fact that each one of these villains is for the most part used to operating on their own, they basically give the most expected answer, which is not a chance. We do our own thing. Like we don't do that. Like we do our own thing. We commit our own act. That's basically what this is. And so what we end up finding out is that what the Joker had done is actually taken, or I guess what Jack Napier had done, I keep wanting to say the Joker, what Jack had done is he had basically taken Clayface and he had used one of the Mad Hatter's controlling cards along with a controlling headband, meaning he had complete and total domination over Clayface's mind. And then what he did is he started turning Clayface into a kind of like salt or sand, more or less, and then began dispersing that among like the various drinks that he had inside this meeting. And so what's been going on is all the villains who were here, they've been drinking this offering from the Joker, all the while not realizing they're actually ingesting the ability for Joker to control them. And that's exactly what happens. By this extension, Joker has single-handedly taken over the entirety of the criminal underworld inside of Gotham City. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring that video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.